Welcome to Soul Synergy Network, where we hold space for healing, reflection, and the return to wholeness. I'm your host, Dr. Irma Elisheva Diaz, and today's episode is called From Burnout to Balance. This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's a lifeline, a quiet invitation back to yourself. If you're tired, not just physically, but emotionally stretched, spiritually dry, and carrying more than you can say, this episode has to be for you. So take a breath, let your body soften, let your shoulders drop. You're safe here, and you're not alone. Burnout. Let's talk about it. Burnout isn't laziness, and it is not weakness. It's soul weariness. It's the body's way of whispering, I can't keep doing this. Burnout speaks to us, and it says things like, I can't care anymore, even about what I used to love, or I wake up already exhausted, or maybe even joy feels like a chore. We often think about burnout that it only happens in a work environment, for example, but it happens in parenting. It happens in ministry or caregiving. It happens in grief. It happens in chronic stress. It happens in when we get pressure to hold everything together, when life's challenges comes. And all those things can just surface as we're working, as we're striving, as we're trying to get things done. In fact, the World Health Organization defines burnout as chronic workplace stress. But we know that it goes deeper, and it affects the mind, many times foggy brain, with anxiety, with forgetfulness, or just plain being overwhelmed with life. It affects our body. Sometimes we walk around tense. There's times when you feel you're so accustomed to it, you're so desensitized, your body's tense and you're not even realizing that it's tense. So many times the tension is there. Many times we feel fatigue. Many times we start to get headaches for no apparent reason. We blame it on allergies, but many times it has a lot to do with burnout and the state we are in mentally and emotionally and physically. Many times insomnia comes into the picture and we can't sleep at night yet. We feel tired and we wake up in the morning and we're still feeling tired. Many times that has to do with burnout because we work and we work and we work and we've been drilled that we are supposed to accomplish and we are supposed to meet certain quotas, if you will, in our life. Then there's our spirit or our soul. Many times there's a disconnection spiritually. Depending on whether you're a person of faith, you feel so burned out and you feel just disconnected or a loss of meaning in what you are doing or what you're even saying, right? And all of that happens to us when there's burnout. But here is the sacred truth. Burnout is not a personal failure. It's actually feedback. It's your inner being saying something's got to give, something has to shift, something has to change, right? So it's important for us to realize what signs come up in our lives and in our walk when we're working where we are out of balance. And the problem is that we've normalized exhaustion. I can remember working on big projects, campaigns, big projects where you're working at 2, 3 in the morning, you're at meetings at 4 in the morning in order to get somewhere at 7 in the morning to the airport to go somewhere else to speak, right? And all of this, it becomes normalized and you don't realize that you're exhausting yourself in every which way. But you begin to become out of balance. And many times that type of behavior in work, we end up wearing it like a badge of honor. Like we're doing so well, we're working so hard, we're being so productive, right? We say we're just busy, we're pushing through, or we're fine. Don't worry about me, I'm absolutely fine. But are we really? And that's the question. So let's name the signs. let's talk about some of the signs of being burnt out. One is you're irritable. You're short-tempered. More often than not, you find yourself agitated. You don't even know how to name the agitation sometimes because you're exhausted or you're feeling that burned out feeling. And that's a sign. It's a sign. Of course, that also comes with grief, by the way, and it comes with challenges like grief in our lives. But when we're burnt out, we get irritable. And sometimes it's because we love what we're doing, but we're not enjoying any longer what we're doing because we're burnt out, right? And the other thing that happens, it's a sign, a telltale sign, is small things feel huge, right? So things that used to be like when we were excited about life and excited about what we were doing, they didn't seem huge, but all of a sudden, now small things look so big. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I have to go do this. I have to go, I don't feel like doing this. This is huge, right? But really it's not. That's a sign. There could be some burnout things going on there where you feel off balance or you feel guilty for slowing down. We're so on autopilot in life. And in life, and especially here in the United States, life is people are just work, getting ahead, making it work. Some of the ends to that, taking care of our families, all of that's important. But we've become to where we are on autopilot. And if we slow down, we feel guilty. If we take a vacation, we feel, in fact, I've talked to people that are working, they have big, good careers, strong careers, and you ask them when the last time is that they took a vacation. And it's been years. They haven't taken a vacation. Their idea of a vacation is getting on a plane, going somewhere to handle a conference, or going somewhere to speak, or going somewhere to teach, or going somewhere to go to meetings, right? All of that, it becomes part of what we feel is getting away, but it's not getting away. So when we start to slow down, we start to feel guilty, like we are not producing and we are not doing what we feel we should be doing. Another sign is your body begins to speak to you. Maybe you get migraines on a constant basis or off and on more than you used to, or maybe you never did, and all of a sudden you're getting headaches, right? Many times there are gut issues where it impacts our digestive system. It impacts, our health, our inner health. And other times, I mentioned this a few minutes ago, we're tense. We're always tense. So instead of sitting on this chair and just feeling relaxed, if I feel tense, I'm tight and I can't relax and my shoulders are kind of tight and right. But if I'm relaxed, so what happens is you start to realize you're sitting in a meeting and you start to realize you're tense, and you look around and you start to realize mostly everybody in the room is also tense, right? And it has to do with the road to burnout. It has to do with the signs that happen before we just want to throw in the towel, right? So another sign is you lost your spark. You used to love what you were doing. You were excited about what you're doing, but now you've lost your spark and your joy feels out of reach. You kind of feel like you just are no longer happy about what you're doing. There's so many things that we work on as human beings, and we work toward, and we talk so much about our purpose and our passion and all of that. But when you lose your spark for something you know that you love, something's wrong. Something's not right. Something's off balance. Another thing is you may feel like a shell of yourself, going through the motions. That's when you're on autopilot and you start to live your life robotically, to where you're just kind of doing the motions and you're doing everything because it's in the routine and it's part of what you do in work, and you just you're doing it, but something's different, and you just start feeling like you're just animated because you know what to do. Right? So that's also another sign. If any of these resonates, you may not just need a break. you may need a real restoration. And real restoration is out there for us if we just realize we need it. So we want to go from burnout to balance. We're human. So we can't wave a wand and say, okay, we're fine. Okay, we're whatever. No, burnout has to lead to balance before it can lead to complete restoration, right? So what's needed? Let's talk about what's needed. Balance isn't about being productive again. It's about becoming whole again. So here are 5 practices that can help start the journey back. Number 1, you need to give yourself permission to pause. We need to be able to pause and just say, I'm allowed to rest. I don't want to feel guilty. I'm not going to feel guilty. And you're also allowed to stop. I'm going to take a week off and I'm going to pause. I need this pause in order to keep going and in order to give it my all, right? This isn't indulgence. This is wisdom. So the first thing we want to look at is whether or not we are giving ourselves permission to pause in our work, to pause in what we love to do, whether it's just writing a book and you just need to pause, right? Number 2, we want to listen to our bodies. And that's so important, and sometimes we neglect it. We're so busy that we neglect it. So the question is, what has your body been trying to say to you? What is it that you feel the message? If your body could speak to you, what message would your body be giving you right now in your work? Pain is a number 1 messenger. If you feel pain in your body, we have to ask ourselves, why? We have to listen to our body. An example, I'll make myself vulnerable. An example is my neck hurts, right? It's been hurting for a while. In fact, I'm going to call it chronic. But why does it hurt? Well, it could be that I'm always on the computer. Not always, but you understand what I'm saying to make my point. And so it's not good for us to always be on the computer. It can cause your neck to get chronic pain. And so now I have to stop and listen to my body, and I have to work at that. Now, in the middle of writing a book, of which I'm writing another one, I have to discipline myself, and I have to say my neck is hurting. So you know what? Today, I'm not going to write. Today, I'm going to stay off the computer. In fact, I'm going to put my laptop away. I'm going to stay out of my office, and I'm not going to get on the computer. That's just an example, and it may not be apropos to what you're going through, but we have to listen to our body, and pain is a number 1 messenger, and so is fatigue. If you start to feel overly exhausted, if you start to feel just tired all the time, and even though you really want to do more and you're excited about getting things done, but you feel this fatigue, you just can't get out of it, right? The key is don't ignore the whisper before it becomes a scream, because it will become a scream to where all of a sudden you are really, really hurting. And you're really feeling exhausted, and you're no longer feeling excited about life. You don't want to do that, right? Number 3, rebuilding our rhythm. We thrive on rhythm, not being rigid about it, but we thrive on rhythm. Like, I get up in the morning, I have certain things I do. I get up, before I even get my coffee, I have certain things I do. And one of the things I do besides my spiritual part is I open the windows. I open the windows, I hear the birds. I love to hear the birds. I love to hear all of that. In fact, I just wrote about that. It's just so beautiful to do that, right? But I need to rebuild. If I get fatigued or I get out of balance, I need to rebuild what it feels like to open the window. That's a very elementary example, but it's a good example. It's I get up, I open the windows, I open my bedroom window, I hear the birds, I love it. But there's some mornings that I'm so busy, I don't stop to hear the birds. So I just open the window, right? Well, I need to rebuild that rhythm when I start to get out of sync. And it's going to happen because I'm human, right? So I need to rebuild that. Whatever it is that you do, you need to work on rebuilding that rhythm. Balance comes when we realign our pace with our purpose. So I'm going to say that again. Balance comes when we realign our pace with our purpose. That's something that is so key and we so forget. So sometimes our pace is going 100 miles an hour and we surpass our purpose and what we're trying to accomplish because we're so busy and we're so out of link and we're so unaligned. And that is a sign. It's a telltale sign. And so we want to rebuild our rhythm when we see that. And we want to align what we're doing with our purpose and our passion and bring balance. Again, burnout to balance, because before there's restoration, there has to be balance. Number 4, we want to reclaim joy and meaning. So even small joys matter. Even the little things, even listening to one of your favorite songs, even looking at the sunrise or letting the sun beat on your face in the morning, having your warm cup of coffee in the morning, or if some of you don't drink coffee, tea, whatever it is, your smoothie. You do what you can that brings you joy and you reclaim it. This brings me joy. So I am going to do this and I'm going to be present for it so that I can reclaim what makes me happy and reclaim what brings meaning. These aren't luxuries. They're actually medicine. It's not a luxury to take care of ourselves and to bring balance, right? And then there's number 5, being held in community. In other words, being embraced by community. We're not meant to heal alone. We're not meant to restore alone. Yes, you want alone time. Yes, you want some time to be able to meditate or whatever it is that you do to pray. But community, there's something about family. There's something about community. There's something about being hugged. There's something about somebody looking in your eyes and listening to you and what you're saying, right? And it's important that we reciprocate that with others. When others are worried about something or feeling like they need to talk, it's important we look in their eyes. It's important that we're there for them. Why? Because iron sharpens iron, because we are created to embrace each other. So we have to be able to let someone in. Sometimes pride will keep us from letting someone in. Ego will keep us from letting someone in. But it's so important that we let other people in our life and we're able to express what we're concerned about, what we feel exhausted about. And part of that, by the way, is letting yourself be seen, not always being on. That's the best way to say it, being on, where people think of you a certain way and you never can let your hair down. You never can just be seen for what you're going through at the moment. Granted, you can't trust everybody with that, but there is community. There's family members that we can go to. Again, we, bridging back, are talking about being able to bring balance to the burnout and understanding those steps. So start where you are, not where someone else is. And that's very important because we look at other people and we think, oh, they got better. So they're doing this and this, and I'm going to try that, right? But sometimes, water skiing may not be your thing, or laying out in the sun may not be your thing, or going to the ocean may not be your thing. Maybe you prefer the mountains, right? So again, you start where you are and where you need to be, reclaiming your joys, not where someone else is. Many people burn out, not just in jobs, but they burn out in faith, in relationships, in caregiving, or simply the demand to keep everything together that we're carrying. And so I've seen it, for example, with faith, people that have lost loved ones, and now they feel disconnected from their creator, from God, from the universe, however you want to word it. And they feel so disconnected from anything that's bigger than them. that can help them. And that happens. Or with relationships, sometimes we're so burnt out, that we disconnect from relationships. So many people burn out in these different areas. Caregiving, for example, if you have a loved one you've been taking care of, you can get burned out. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you're human. Or simply the demand to keep it all together is that in and of itself is heavy and it's weighty. And so we have to learn how to juggle. We have to learn how to balance. We have to learn how to do these things so that we can go from burnout to balance. And balance takes us to restoration. So again, you may not be able to fix it overnight, but you can begin today. You can begin. And there are some steps toward this balance that I want to elaborate on. More steps. It's not a task list. And that is important to say. This is an invitation for your soul. Number 1, schedule 1 sacred hour this week just for you. Without a to-do list. Just rest. Just reflect. I call this sacred, right? It's a sacred hour just for you. Schedule it. Don't hesitate. Make it happen. Don't make excuses why not to happen, right? The second thing is set one boundary and honor that one boundary. Say no and let that be your full sentence. In other words, no excuses. You don't have to give excuses. You just set the boundary and you honor it. Just pick one and set the boundary. Number 3, anchor yourself with rhythm, not rigidity. So you can light a candle, you can stretch in the morning, you can breathe, learn how to breathe, breathing exercises, you can pray, you can garden, you can dance, you can walk, you can laugh. All of this matters because we are whole human beings that need all of it, right? So we need to reintroduce the joys that we have abandoned, and we need to reclaim them and move toward that balance. And if you start little by little, you'll get there. You don't have to do it all at once. The next thing is keep a balance in a journal, maybe. A lot of people don't like journaling, by the way, I have found, especially in grief and stuff, but a lot of people do like it and a lot of people find it helpful. So keep a balance. What is it that drained you today? What is it that made you sad? What is it that that made you feel more burnt out than the day before? And then also journal what gave you life. What made you feel alive? What made you feel smile from within? What made you feel laugh from within? What made you feel want to continue? What is it that made you feel that? And believe it or not, if you make a column, like a column on a journal, and put down what drained you and put down what gave you life, and you put the date, and you do that every day for at least 7 days, you're going to start seeing some things that are going to be very helpful for you to make changes. Then there's number 6, rest on purpose. Not because you're broken, but because you're worthy of restoration. Rest on purpose. Rest, just say, I'm going to rest. I'm going to, at 1 o'clock, I'm taking the afternoon off and I'm going to rest. These things are so key to being able to embrace balance. Remember, balance is it. Balance is the key. Restoration is great, and we want to get there, but balance is the key. So in a quiet space, with honesty and compassion, ask yourself these questions. Where am I most depleted? Is it my body? Is it my mind? Is it my spirit? Where am I most depleted? Let me bring that. Again, the key is balance. We're going to get to restoration. The key is balance. Ask yourself, what part of me have I been ignoring? Just to keep going. All of us have a part. I can think of some right now in my life. All of us have a part. What part of me have I been ignoring just to keep going. What would balance look like if I believed I deserved it? Ask yourself, what would it look like if I believed I deserved it? I don't need to do A, B, and C by 10 in the morning. I don't need to do, D, E, and F by 5 o'clock. I don't need to do this. I just need to do my best, and I need to do it with all of my heart, and I need to be present when I'm doing it. So what would that look like? And believe that you deserve to do that. What can I release to make space for healing? Is there something on my plate where I can say, you know what, I'm going to put this aside, I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to pick up this and this week, and I'm going to accomplish this? What can you lay aside to give yourself space to balance yourself, to bring healing, to bring restoration? And what does my soul need from me today? That's another one. What does my soul need from me today? Ask yourself, because your soul is your inner being. Your soul is that's for a whole other day, but that's a deep subject, right? But what does my soul need from me today? And take time to close your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and whisper to yourself, I'm allowed to rest. Whisper to yourself, I am allowed to change. I don't have to be what everybody tells me I am. Allow yourself to change. Allow yourself to feel again. And do it with concentration. I'm allowed to live in balance, right? Do it with concentration. And that will help you. You will just feel steps forward. You will start to feel better. There's one thing that when I teach certain things having to do with self-care, or having to do with grief, or having to do, with scripture, whatever it is that I'm teaching, I always say, look in the mirror. If you can look in the mirror and you can talk to yourself, like affirmations, there's nothing crazy about that. In fact, I don't like that word. There's nothing off about that. It's good for you to be able to look in the mirror and saying, hey, I love the way I look. I love the way I feel. I'm allowed to change, make some changes. I'm allowed to feel again. I'm allowed to live in balance. I'm allowed to do this. So all of this is key for us. Remember, burnout, balance, restoration. Let it settle in, even if it's just a beginning. And then, as a word of final encouragement, you were not created to live exhausted. Even passion, if it's left unguarded, can burn you up. It can leave you completely bedridden, if you will, metaphorically, where you don't feel like doing anything. You don't have to choose between purpose and peace. You're allowed to do meaningful work without self-sacrifice. Remember that. Balance doesn't mean perfection. It means alignment. Remember that. Because someone might say, well, I'm not perfect. I can't do. Nobody's asking you to be perfect. Nobody's asking me to be perfect. We just want to be aligned with the messages from our body, the messages from our mind, what we're feeling, how we do life, right? We want to be aligned. So that's what wholeness means. It means wholeness. It means permission to allow ourselves to come together in alignment. You're worthy of breath. You're worthy of rest. You're worthy of balance. Remember that. Let this be your turning point. Don't rush the return, but take one next step toward healing, toward restoration. But before that, there has to be balance. Not to abandon your passion, but to carry it with more grace. That is the key. So as I close today, I thank you for joining me on Soul Synergy Network. If this episode has touched you, please share it with someone who might be silently struggling with burnout. someone who looks strong but feels very, very tired. Until next time, and right before I say that, I want to encourage you to press the subscribe button, subscribe to our YouTube station, and also go to our website. You'll see it on the screen, all that information. But I really would love for you to join because there's so many more topics that we need to cover. They're wellness topics, and they are key for us to live in alignment. So now, as I close, I say to you this: rest deeply, live gently, and remember that you are enough and you are able. I leave these thoughts with you today, and have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. God bless you.